All right, so we're going to start with the startup right that's on the board. That's turning to your aha moments page for this section. And I want you to reflect on the digestive system. You should have over the last couple days as you have been working on your advertisements and that sort of thing for the digestive system, learn some new things concerning it. So add that to your aha moments page. We'll give you about 5 minutes to add some writing there, or small drawings or whatever you might want to. Remember, the question we're trying to answer: how do homeostatic mechanisms dictate evolutionary change? Related to the digestive, and then today we're going to start to look at the respiratory system. So, how does the stuff that is going on in us absorbing those nutrients, how has that dictated evolutionary change in us as well as other organisms that have digestive systems similar to us and also those that are different? You should have been picking up some of that along the way. So go ahead and write down some gained knowledge and we will go on. Liver makes it, gallbladder stores it. Well, it comes into the duodenum. All right. So let's try to work on this quietly now. Do you have a question? You can discuss quietly, but I don't need everybody doesn't need to hear this. All right. So let's add some stuff that we've learned. I'm seeing a lot of different things getting put down on paper, and it's all correct as far as stuff related to digestion, but it's interesting some of the different pathways people are taking to list their information right now. Anna, what is something that you recall from digestion that helps us understand maybe a little bit about where this process is headed? Yeah.
The large intestine absorbs existing water, vitamin K, and ions.
Okay, the large intestine, its job is absorbing that water and vitamin K and other ions. You get a lot of reabsorption there. So that's kind of like, for lack of a better term, the cleanup crew, as well as the disposal crew, right? What they can clean up, they're going to clean up. What they can't, they eliminate. What's another part of the digestive tract that we've discovered, Zach? Uh-oh. Come on now. Oh, gosh. We got stage fright? Is that... All right, Joseph.
The pyloric sphincter can open and close to let the common small intestine.
Very good. Pyloric sphincter opening and closing to allow that food to leave the stomach. And this is one of the problems I didn't realize that this was the problem, and nothing necessarily matters other than it was just knowledge gained on my part. Whenever my gallbladder went bad, my gallbladder was functioning at 0%, meaning it wasn't functioning any whatsoever. Okay? This was last year. And I was having some problems, episodes, if you will, of going through feeling like I was getting, like I'd get food poisoning type deal, and you'd have that like 12 hours of vomiting type experience. This is exciting to talk about right now, right? Well, I even told my doctor because this happened like more than once, and it was always kind of the same type of thing. And I started connecting up certain foods that I was eating whenever this was happening. And it was high grease content foods that then, like the next day, I would have major issues going on. What's going on is if the small intestine, the duodenum, whenever it gets fat in there, it starts to break that fat down with what? Bile. Where is bile stored? Gallbladder. My gallbladder is not functioning. I would get fat into the large end of that duodenum, the small intestine. There's a feedback loop there. When that fat enters, the feedback loop says to slow down or close off the sphincter until this fat gets digested, so that it slows down your digestion. You eat high fatty foods, it slows down your digestion. That's also why sometimes when people eat like a lot of fatty food, they'll say that their stomach feels heavy, or they don't want to do much or whatever. And some of that's because it literally does slow down your ability to process the food you've eaten. Well, because I wasn't getting really any bile hardly dumped into my small intestine, then I was ending up with that food really just kind of churning for a while. And it wasn't ever getting a relief of getting out of my stomach. So I was having food just kind of sit on my stomach for like 12 hours. Well, the stomach doesn't want food sitting on it like that, just not going anywhere. So eventually then you get the nausea, you get the vomiting because your stomach's going, I've got to get this that's in here out. And then my body would kind of reset. Okay? Once I got the gallbladder removed and things started to balance out, I haven't had any of those experiences since then. And it's because of the way that my body was having to react, because my gallbladder was not functioning. It was there, but it was not working at all. And when I talked to the doctor about it, the doctor said, yeah, this is a classic sign of your gallbladder going bad. Now, he figured it would still be functioning. He didn't know that it was going to be functioning at 0% until we did the test, and they were like, your gallbladder doesn't function at all. It's just sitting there.
Do you have a scar from it?
Well, it was the laparoscopic, so I've got like the belly button and then the line here and the line here. So, I do have the scar from the appendix when I was 13. That was like right here.
Did your appendix taken out too?
Yeah. Nowadays, if they do, nowadays a lot of those, of course with the laparoscopic, it's a lot easier. But whenever I was 13, the laparoscopic was like in its infancy stage. And I was having to go to like a sketchy hospital anyways. And they were like, we've got this new procedure. And I'm like, let's go with the one you know. Yeah, exactly. I was like, no, thank you. People die at this hospital all the time for random reasons. I don't really want to be here, but it was an emergency. I had no choice. So let's just go with the one that you know how to do. And they, got it's like a 3-inch scar or whatever from it. Alright, so yes, to get back to that sphincter opens and closes to allow food to go out, and it regulates how much is in your small intestine, because your small intestine opening is not as large as your stomach. So if everything that's in your stomach was just bombarding the small intestine, you wouldn't be able to do the important function of the small intestine. What's the important thing the small intestine does? Absorbs nutrients. You would lose those if it didn't slow it down. So the sphincter closes and slows that process down so you absorb those nutrients. Yes?
So if you don't have a gallbladder, can you still not digest fatty food?
I have to be careful with the amount of fat that I eat. Yeah. There's some things I've just had to remove from my diet altogether. Now some people, their body balances back better and they can do whatever. I don't get the nausea and stuff from the fatty foods anymore, but it can still cause some digestive issues because the fat is just not... Like you have a stockpile of bile. If you eat a big old greasy cheeseburger, your gallbladder contracts and puts a bunch of bile in there to digest all that fat. Without the gallbladder, you're really relying on the liver to produce all the bile you need. So if you eat too much fat at one time, you end up with too much fat in your small and large intestine. And, well, grease does what grease does. So you can end up with needing to go to the bathroom rather quickly. Just got to watch. Okay? All right. What else do you have on that aha moments page? Tyler, something you put down.
I'll just put down information about the digestive tract, one opening,
Yep.
send the nutrients to food, and then
Okay? So, Tyler did the comparison that we had earlier this week on the digestive vacuole, the gastrovascular cavity, and the one-way tract. I've seen that on his paper. Good information there. As we look at this question, talks about evolutionary change. How has it changed from one to the next? All right. There's way more things that we could talk about here, but we need to kind of move on. So make sure you're always going back to this and adding stuff as you get it. Let's look at today's topic. We're transitioning from digestive to respiratory. And that's what you'll see up here. We're going to do two activities today. The first one, and this is looking at after your, let's see, where did we put dissection in our interactive notebook? 75, 76? 65, 66. 65 and 66 was at least the beginnings of digestion, or dissection. So we're looking at 67, 68. Alright, 67, 68 is gas exchange. I set it up here so you kind of know which side to do what on. Don't do activity 2 yet. We're going to focus on activity 1. We're first going to look at the evolution of gas exchange. So we're going to compare some gas exchange properties or some gas exchange that we see in nature. And then the second activity we're going to do focuses more on animal respiration or animal gas exchange, which goes along with our dissections that we're doing. Alright? Okay. So let's look up here. The first is you're going to be in a group with a partner, a group of 2. Alright? And you're going to do a little bit of fact-finding for me. You're going to take a whiteboard. So you're going to get one of the clean whiteboards. There's a stack over there. The top couple, I think, have writing on them, but there are some clean ones down through there. And this is going to be a very quick knowledge game, okay? So this is not going to be one of those 20-minute activities. This is going to be like a 10-minute process of you digging in and finding some quick information, all right? I'm going to assign to you a type of gas exchange that we see in nature. I would start with the information in my book. I will open the iPad card up if you want to research some stuff after you get some information out of your book. But you need to quickly give a presentation on that whiteboard. And we're going to bring everybody back together and you're going to show the whiteboards and quickly discuss some of the things that are on there so that we can kind of get a brief understanding or at least a starting point for what do we mean by gas exchange. Based on what you know so far, what kind of environment do you think gas exchange needs to take place? And this is one that trips some people up. a wet environment. Now, based on what we know about evolution, it would have all started where? In some kind of watery environment. And for the most part, even though we've gotten out of the water, we've created environments that are still moist. Right? You should know that the lining of your lungs is a moist environment. If you've ever coughed up anything out of your lungs, very rarely do you cough up like a dry something. Right? That's a good image, isn't it? Think about the stuff that you cough up out of your lungs. All right? Yeah. It looks similar to what she... No, I'm kidding. All right. So all of these, what you're going to discover is all of these require a moist environment. That's where we're kicking off. So you're going to get with your partner, get a whiteboard. You can get some of the markers out of the case up here. And I'm going to come around and assign to you a specific one to focus on that you want to discover more on. And then as we hear others, you have a space on this page to also jot down some information to give you at least a starting point for understanding gas exchange. So go ahead and get with your partner, get a whiteboard, and I'll know you're ready. Go do that now. Austin, come here. Grass, algae, rock,
Oh dear, that's
Do you have your books?
yes, it's on our desk. We don't have crayons.
I don't think we can put crowns on a whiteboard.
I realize.
I could. The cleaning would not be fun.
We already said we stood on a poster.
Focus on the whiteboard information. Hey guys, right now, focus on making your whiteboard. You will use this page as a summary. This is what I've discovered. This is what I've learned. Okay? Yes. Somebody here got it? 1,000. All right. Who do we have on this table first?
Do we have,
Shelby?
you guys know the pages?
You guys are going to do simple diffusion. Simple diffusion. So organisms. That's fine. Zach and Jake, you guys are doing amphibian.
This one's right too.
Page 1,000. Wow, this is a big book.
Is it Ellen? Okay. Skylar and Ethan. You guys are doing echinoderm? Starfish. What? Yeah! Echinoderm. Starfish. Anna. Doing Kara. Insects. Geo. Fish. Mammals. Ellen. Amphibians as well. Fish as well back there for Austin.
Really?
Yes.
What's the fishes?
Well, we're going to come back to that one, so we really need to understand the new fish.
Okay. We have to dissect the fish, though.
Sorry. All right. 10 minutes, guys. 10 minutes. Let's make nice whiteboards about how your organism that you've been assigned, how does it exchange gas with its environment? Very important. Start on page 1,000. Just in case.
Remember what happened last time we didn't have an address? We had the address.
Let's go, guys. Make sure you're focusing. 10 minutes. Actually, 9 minutes at the point. 1,000 is where I'd start. And I'll have the iPad add to that.
Do you want it to vertical or horizontal? Which one do you think would be better? Horizontal, we might have like sort of fill up. If that works.
Because I was doing the lungs at first.
So when you're looking up this, guys, think about the organism I gave you. How's it exchanging gas in its environment?
Jerry, what was ours called?
Echinoderms.
Okay.
Go back to 1,000. 1,001. I don't know if it's going to get much more than that or not.
Well, there's different types of gills, so if you're talking about different kinds. And how they work.
You might be able to use the iPad while somebody else is watching to see if you can find some other organisms other than just this one. Especially since
Draw it. Okay, but this is not. What is your problem?
well, the water doesn't, but the gas is.
Extract a lot of oxygen out of the water.
Not really. But the oxygen
That would
is off.
just
It's
extract.
not concentrated water. It's not having to break it. It's just able to pull it right out. Which is the same thing that fish do. As water flows over the gills, they're just able to pull it right out.
No, it's not true. It is O2. Oxygen is O2.
Yes.
Like, because I wrote it too. And I didn't know right.
This is a lot of information. This is kind of right here kind of an initial. This is a breakdown, kind of the simplified version, and then it really starts to get complex. We're going to go way more complex with fish here in a minute. But right now, you can keep it simple for like this initial understanding of how gas exchange happens. Okay.
Here, I'll you're going to draw it? Wait. Yeah. Oh. Would you want me to read you what it says? Yeah. Right now? Yeah. The gills of fishes. The gills of fish provide a very large respiratory surface area and account for exchange.
I met with the designer and creator of Planet H yesterday. He was here for school. I got put into a meeting, not on purpose. I didn't know I was being put into this meeting, but I won't be able to.
A large respiratory surface area.
We were talking about the videos and stuff, but we can do a live stream on Planet H where there's also input too, so you guys could be wherever watching. I can pull in live video footage, and then you guys could ask questions, and I can answer those questions. See the questions come up, and I can get back the answer back.
Yes, you could draw like the lungs.
There might be a few session next time. We're going to have it come all the way to school. We can actually set up some kind of night. It's not while we're interested. We're going to discuss. So,
This is a terrible library. I don't like it. Here, try that.
You can play games too.
yes, sir. Dude, we can let's go. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Like I said, we're looking for initial understanding. Let's get the gist of what's going on. How is this process taking place?
It's in a UFC fight. It's all so you got like 5 minutes. So you might could you add a page 1001? Gives you like a simplified version of what's going on. As far as like maybe a drawing,
You know, if you rapidly once your bread carbon dioxide in your lungs, so your body
Respiration. So it reduces carbon dioxide, right?
you have the energy
Carbon dioxide, that means you have high concentration of For this to take place, it has to be a wet environment. Dry environment, it won't do that.
You know what we're saying?
is that. Yes. But notice what it's going through. That's the big thing. So they have the ability to do what we call cutaneous enrichment. That's why their skin has to be not well. Now there are some that are able to be a little bit drier. Maybe frost. But on average, their viewers have to be moist because they're able to literally take air right across their skin. Their blood vessels come up next to their skin like this, and they're able to just diffuse straight through their skin, which is something different than any other organism out there as far as land organisms.
I'm hanging out this with
Oh, did you do it?
No, I'm trying to think. That's why you do.
So we have a drawing, and we have the basic. Yeah, and we made it cute, and we made it fancy.
You did. That is very cute.
Thank you.
You never disappoint me.
I try not to. I try not to.
Make sure you include it. Of course, you have to have moist environments and water. Oxygen and carbon dioxide don't diffuse and cause a dry surface, which is why we can't bring it.
So what do we like to move ourselves up? Can we do it?
No, we haven't evolved that ability. We went away from that.
We could. Since we know this.
Well, we went away from that ability. Y'all really, I mean, technically, the genes might be there.
I do too. Breathing sucks. You'd probably be a lot better. You'd probably be able to run a lot more.
That's what I was thinking. Like, if I was constantly covered with water,
We need wet there. I mean, we've evolved out of that. We started laying in with dry.
But when I was thinking about cold,
Technically, I'm not saying gene wouldn't be there. Mutation.
We'll probably use this for the CO2.
All right. So let's get to a stopping point wherever you are in this. Let's get to a stopping point wherever you are in this, so that finish that last sentence if you're writing a sentence, or that last bit of a drawing or whatever. All right. While it's fresh right now in your head, I want you to go through the interactive notebook on the left side where it says, I've got on the board what I discovered, and I want you to sum up in about 3 to 4 sentences what have you discovered about the organism that you were just assigned when it comes to gas exchange. 3 to 4 sentences. Let's do that right now. On the interactive notebook? Left side of the page. Alright? Come on, guys. Let's do it. Please. How's that?
look at it.
2 minutes to write down what have you discovered. 3 to 4 sentences.
His legs look awful, but...
Let's make sure we do our discovery page. Come on, what have you discovered?
I wrote it down.
Yes.
I didn't have a yellow one, so I made you off.
Do you like it? Yeah. Well, I don't have a yellow one. Or I guess it's not really important. It's from like orange and red. I mean, I could use green for your hair, but that would be cool. Like a little shower. Or like got in a swimming pool, but that would be around one more. My sister did that one. What's your sister's hair?
Blonde.
Blonde? Yeah, it's about your color.
She dyed it, like, she had it really, really blonde one summer, and then we went swimming, and came back. Now it's purple.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw her in the hall, and I was like, yep, that's your sister.
It was like that. She had it, like, she wants to go blue now. Like, she didn't have a choice for the time.
I've never dyed my hair, and I'm 18 for it, too. But it is cool.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, I didn't really like it.
I've had it for a while.
What?
All right.
I know, I don't really want to change it.
I think we should have
He's got it.
All right. Okay, this is what I need you to do, guys, just because of the nature of everything that's going on. You're going to come back this direction into your seats. You can leave your whiteboard there until it's your group's time, and then you can bring your whiteboard up. But because it's going to be hard to hold your whiteboards up here, leave your whiteboards where they are. You come back to your seats, and we will have simple diffusion go first. So, Jocelyn, Zach, Zach's not here. Jocelyn, Chris, and Shelby.
What?
Yeah,
Now that's All right.
Apparently they're very complex.
Okay, hold up just a second. Leave your whiteboards there. Bring your interactive notebook and yourself this direction, please. All right, come on.
Okay, we have simple diffusion respiration, which occurs in single cell organisms. It has to be in a wet environment. Low oxygen concentration outside of the organism diffuses into the inside into a low concentration on the inside.
Intracellular respiration, CO2 concentration in the organism becomes high, so it diffuses out of it into a lower concentration.
All right. They've used the term several times. Hold up. And we used it even when I gave them the assignment of simple diffusion. Diffusion is a key term that we need to make sure everybody in here understands. Who feels like they can give me a good summed up definition of diffusion other than this group right here? Go ahead, Austin.
Something moves from an area of a concentration to an area of high concentration. It moves with the concentration.
That would be backwards. There we go. High to low. Does anybody remember what kind of transport we called that across the cell membrane? Passive. Does it require energy? No. So they're able to do this without the use of energy, which has to happen. Otherwise, you would end up with not enough energy to breathe. Right? That would be bad. Yeah. Very good, guys. Come on back. Good. I think your group was next. Yes. Not right off.
It's T-G-U-A-L-I-T-I-E-S.
I won't even know the people that you know. All right, here we go. Amphibians, go.
Okay, the lungs are formed as sac-like outpouchings of the gut. They have less surface area available for gas exchange than terrestrial vertebrates. Each lung is connected to the end of the oral cavity, and they breathe through positive pressure breathing, which means instead of just breathing in air, they suck air into their oral cavity and they close their mouth and nostrils and force it into their lungs.
Wow. Okay. Alright, they focus more on the actual lungs of the amphibians because amphibians have lungs, but they also have another type of breathing. And while you guys are up there, just slide over. I know the other group did the other kind, so my other amphibians, who are they? There we are, Sam and Ellen. Just slide over. Don't go anywhere yet because we're gonna make a connection here. Go ahead and describe amphibians that you guys can. It is good that you focus on something a little different. Go ahead.
We did continuous breathing, which is where they breathe through their skin, and that's why they have to live in moist environments because the air actually diffuses through their skin.
While they still have lungs, they can do this.
All right. So we've got now remember, if you think of evolution of life, okay, we start in water, right? We're land, walking, breathing animals now. Do we need to live in moist environments? No. So where would you put amphibians in this process then? Somewhere in that middle zone, because they've got both lungs that we use and some of the simple diffusion techniques that we just talked about with the single-celled organisms being able to just simply diffuse through their skin. A cutaneous respiration is going on. The other thing I want to look at here is amphibians. Jake said they use positive breathing, where they force air down into it's kind of like they gulp it, and then force it down into their lungs. What kind of breathing do you think you do? Negative. If they use positive, we use negative. How do we breathe? Muscle contraction, and it sucks air in. If you force it down, it's positive. If it sucks in by the muscle contraction, that's negative. So, little understanding, yes, it's all pressure related. Okay? Very good, both of you guys. Good job. Who do we have? We've got, you guys did echinoderms. Did we have any other echinoderms? Just one? Alright, echinoderm. Amphibians, if they get to, if the skin gets dry, they die. So you start territory testing them to say, well, what's causing their death? You start looking at, well, wait a second, they've got too much carbon dioxide in their body, not enough oxygen in their body. So apparently they can't just breathe through their lungs. So it's, process of elimination. All right, here we go. Go.
It's pretty simple. The epidermis has to be wet. Because epidermis right here. And here's the papilla.
And basically it just does diffusion through its moistened environment, which would be in water, because it has to have moistened skin. So you got CO2 going out, O2 going out, and we have Patrick, because he's a moisture sponge.
All right. We got a little SpongeBob analogy there. All right. They've got a process that they've got labeled in here. What did you label it? The tube that passes that inside? Okay. Well, the papilla, not that. Yes. The papilla is the little nodules, if you will, that as water passes over, they're able to absorb that oxygen through. And then you can see here that there's this connected tube that would run all throughout that starfish to help pass that air. But because they're not using some sort of circulatory system with it, it's diffusing in and diffusing out, which is also going to regulate the amount of activity. Really, that's one of the connections we see here. Are starfish very active? Have you ever seen has anybody ever seen starfish either in the ocean or in an aquarium setting?
Yeah.
What are they doing? They sit there, right? They chill.
I didn't know they could move.
They do, yeah, they can move. But it's, yeah, they choose not to. Some of it's because if you're moving, what do you start doing when you move a lot? Well, what's part of the process? If I go out here and I start working out, what am I going to do? I'm going to sweat. I'm going to breathe heavier. I've got to increase the amount of oxygen because that oxygen is what is going to be used to make ATP. So if I'm able to circulate that oxygen and I'm able to muscle contract and bring it in, they're relying more on water flow, being in the right place at the right time type deal, and just diffusing it in and out, like our simple-celled organisms. And it does, in multicellular organisms, it definitely decreases activity. Very good, guys. Who do we have back in the Gio, what'd you guys do? Fish. Before we do fish, let's do insects right here. And then we'll bring both fish up at the same time. All right. Here we go. Insects, another type of land animal. Let's see what we find out.
Insects possess a hard
Chitin. Good try though.
Exoskeleton, main reason why insects have a large specialized gas exchange system and no general transport system. Insects have small tube openings called spiracles. The large spiracles are called trachea and the small ones are called tracheoles. The ends of the small tubes reach directly to the individual cells.
Each tube is filled with a lot of liquid, and that fluid, it's led into the muscle tissue. This results in the enlarging of the general surface area of air together with the cells, and all of the gases extend through the spiracles, or in other words, down both the trachea and the tracheoles. And that's in an extensive tracheal system.
Okay. Now, that's all throughout its body. When you look at an insect, you'll see these spiracles, these trachea openings, all the way up to the side of its body. Whenever you look at them under microscopes and stuff, they have all of these openings. Okay. Let me ask you a question. Does anybody know the type of circulatory system that insects have? We haven't talked about that yet, but I don't know if maybe anybody knows.
Open.
It's open. Open means that it does not have, for us, ours is what? Closed. Because we keep all of our blood in tubes that run all through our body, right? Open means that it doesn't keep their blood in tubes. It puts it into like these cavity spaces. So the heart pumps, it pumps blood into these big open cavity areas, and as it pumps, it'll pump some blood out of those open cavities at the same time. Because of that, system does not provide good circulation of oxygen. We rely on our blood flow to circulate our oxygen and to get our carbon dioxide out. They can't rely on that because of the open circulatory system, so they have to rely on another system. And so what we found is what Kara said at the very end. What'd you call it? Very last thing you were talking about. An extensive tracheal system. Your tracheal system in you guys is about this right here. That's your tracheal system. Well, you got a lot more body than this. Their tracheal system is in their whole body. Okay? Much more extensive than ours. Little different evolutionary adaptation to get the same thing that you get. Notice, where was the fluid in this? Because insects are dry. Where was the fluid found? They mentioned it. Who picked it up? Okay? Where was the fluid found? In the tubes that led to that muscle tissue. So all of those tracheal tubes and all this area through here, all of this is going to be a nice moist environment, because for oxygen to come in and carbon dioxide to go out, it has to be moist. If it's not moist, it doesn't happen. Alright, very good. Fish. All right. We've got two. Both of these are correct. One gives you like an up close and personal view of the gill and what's going on. The other's kind of a broader view. Let's have Austin and Anna go first, and then we'll go to Gio and Tyler. Go.
We focus on the gills. They allow aquatic organisms to pull oxygen out of the water. It has counter current exchange and a very large respiratory surface area, which I'm guessing is why they're more active than the starfish.
Yes. Because for them to get oxygen, they have to be moving. That's also, fish that are able to sit still have a different function. What do they have?
Nobody knows.
Uh-oh.
Well, they have counter current.
They still breathe through this, but they also have another system that allows them to sit still. called a swim bladder. They have a swim bladder that allows them to hang out in one place. If you don't have a swim bladder, they have to be moving. If they don't move, they die, because you can't exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide unless water is flowing over your gills. Okay? Tell us how that takes place. Down there, Gio, go.
Well, the counter exchange, which takes part in the gills, they go in opposite directions, which means counter exchange. As buzz going up, it needs more water that has higher potential of oxygen, so that way diffusion is happening between them.
Very good. Very good. So when you look here, okay, water, of course, comes through the mouth, and it goes out the opening here, right behind the operculum. If you guys, anybody in here, you guys are fishers, you guys fish, you ever string fish together? When you string fish, you're putting that string through the mouth and then out this opening right here, right? And it's because they have that, it would be kind of like you having slits right here on the side of your neck area, okay? And that counter current exchange that they're talking about is here. As water goes this direction, okay? Wait, how do you drew it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, here is blood coming from the body. All right. Yeah, I gotta make sure I'm getting this right. Yes, blood coming from the body. High levels of carbon dioxide, very low levels of oxygen, right? Because it's used its oxygen. So the water hitting it here has the highest amount of oxygen in it. So that you get a lot of diffusion, but as those blood vessels go across, they're picking up a lot of oxygen, they're letting out all the carbon dioxide, and as you get over to this side, you've got areas of less carbon dioxide, more oxygen, so that you get as much diffusion taking place as possible as it's traveling over those gills. That counter current exchange. Water's going this way, blood's pumping this way. Okay? Counter current. Alright? That opposite direction. We're going to look a little bit more detail at that. That gives you kind of a heads up of where we're heading. Very good, guys. Last one, my mammal group. Come on. Whoa. Mine's touching stuff. All right. Here we go. So, mammal respiration. What do you do? Go ahead, guys.
In mammalian lungs, the lungs are coated with water to allow diffusion, and inside of them they're clustered with tiny air sacs called alveoli, which increase the surface area so you have more diffusion going on, allowing more oxygen intake.
All right, and inspiration, where the diaphragm contracts, lungs expand, and you suck in air. And expiration, diaphragm relaxes, and the air is unforcefully released. And see, lungs, alveoli.
Very good. And those alveoli will have these blood vessels all over the outsides of them so that that process can take place really easy. We'll go into more detail with this, as well as circulation. When we talk about the circulation section a little bit, we'll go into a little bit more detail with this process as well. So that gives us a little introductory to it. Very good, guys. Go ahead and put that back at the table. All right, 2 minutes. I know it's not long. 2 minutes. Let's give some statements about these other types that were just presented. Go ahead and do that now. Try to mention as many of them as you could and as much information. The highlights. What? How did that individual breathe? Why is that important to know? What does that tell us? Swim bladder. finish the one you're on right now. You got about 30 seconds to finish that one. All right. Now it's time for us to go a little bit deeper, but we're not going to go deeper in all of these, okay? We're going to focus more on the land animals, and we're going to add one. So some of you guys are going to have to really go in a new direction. So we've got, who are the amphibians? My 4 amphibian people. All right, you guys are going to be working together. We're going to remix the groups a little bit. You four will work together and give us an extensive now presentation, okay, that you're going to have time to work on today, a little bit to get started at least, on how do amphibians breathe. As much information as possible, really going, huh?
Can we use both whiteboards?
Yeah, you can use both whiteboards, that's not a problem, okay? When you go to clean them, we've got the glass cleaner up here, guys. Go with the glass cleaner, and it'll wipe them off. Okay? Who are my fish people? All right, you 4 are going to be working together. Extensive. How do fish? I know we said land animals, but fish. We're going to include fish in it as our water example. Make sure you give good information on countercurrent exchange because that's a little interesting the way that works. Blood flow going one way, water going the other, and why that gives you maximum oxygen absorption, which is what the fish need in that. Extensive of what's really going on there. Okay? Really dig in deep on that. For that presentation, you can use both whiteboards and do what you need to do there for good presentation. My mammal people. Who are my mammal people? That's you two. And we're going to lump in the simple diffusion people. So that group's going to be a 5 group. So you 5 are going to work together for a really nice presentation on that. And then who do we have left? We should have 4 left. All right, Ethan, Skylar, Anna, and Kara. You guys get the new one that we haven't gone over yet. All right? The new one that we haven't gone over, which is birds. How do birds breathe? Okay? Birds breathe similar to mammals, but there's some, it goes a little bit more in detail. Look in the, start on 1,000, guys. If you keep flipping in your book, you'll find all 4 of the ones that we just mentioned. You've also got the iPads. You've got 10 minutes, and then we're going to bring it back together for a closing. Yes? To start. You're starting. You're starting today. Monday you will have time to go deeper. Right now you're starting.
He did this on purpose.
All 5 of you are going to be working on it.
You're going to win.
Yeah. You did it for us to have a set one. Example.
Let's keep something.
Behind the scenes. Somebody's got it.
Destroy this.
Just keep the word in.
Let's go, guys. You got 10 minutes right now to really be adding good stuff, getting good stuff down to start with. You've also got access to the iPads to really go deeper now. We want good presentations on this. Please.
Yeah, like these 2 are like all we need. So do you guys just want to like draw these 2 pictures and then seal this up? Would that be good?
If we go any further here. talk about the structure of the gills.
Yeah, we can do that.
On board.
Like, we could erase the top part of this and leave this drawing in here, and then like.
Well, we don't really need that drawing anymore. I say we make that curve focusing on gills and that blue curve focusing on counter curve exchange. Okay. Because we just do them in the middle.
So I'm not ready.
No.
I'm going to erase the box.
Put on counter exchange. Take old.